During the first of the new series of Doctor Who's Christmas episodes, the Doctor brings down the Prime Minister with 6 words. Don't you think she looks tired? To be completely honest, I'm wondering if the same isn't true for the show's current person in charge, Steven Moffatt. He's been running Doctor Who for over 5 years now, and I think the cracks are starting to show. But to fully explain why I feel this way, I'm going to start by talking about his predecessor on the show, Russell T Davies. RTD brought Doctor Who back from hiatus back in 2005, and somehow managed to pull it off. A family-friendly science fiction show that had started in the 60s and was part of its misery in the 80s, not only survived the Saturday night ratings wars, but positively thrived, and it made a household name out of actors like David Tennant and Freema Agyeman, Christopher Eccleston being the exception since he was already a reasonably famous British actor before taking the role. That being said, not everything in Doctor Who land was sunshine and roses, no pun intended. The show was more than a little campy at times. The finales relied ever increasingly on Deus Ex Machinas, and when his scripts were bad, they were abysmal. Case in point, the train wreck that was Love and Monsters. By the time of the final 2 episodes of his tenure, it was pretty clear that RTD had made the right choice to move on to pastures new and leave the spot open for his replacement. But who would that person be? The fans had a near unanimous choice, and as it turns out, the BBC had the same idea. After all, Steven Moffatt had written some of the highest rated and most critically acclaimed episodes in the new season's run. Episodes like Blink, The Empty Child, and Silence in the Library. Not only that, he had also written a popular miniseries called Jekyll in 2007, proving that he could run a show like Doctor Who. He'd also been gifted a blank slate, since David Tennant chose to move on at the same time. The choice of Doctor and companions came down solely to him, and he gave us Matt Smith's Doctor, Amy, and Rory. The result was really positive at first. Season 5 of Doctor Who was a smash hit, with a young in body but old in spirit 11th Doctor gallivanting through space and time with a feisty young Scottish woman and the man who spent 1,000 years trying to protect her. Moffat had moved Doctor Who into more of a science fantasy franchise, full of wonder and mystery. But with the universe rebooting at the end of the 2-part season finale, Moffat may have written himself into a jam. His other franchise, Sherlock, had also become a big success, and buoyed by it he began to write an even more ambitious series-wide arc that would be sure to wow everyone. Sadly, this was not to be a good move. While the writing quality generally stood up to scrutiny at first, the plots didn't, being criticised as unnecessarily complicated and somewhat underwhelming, focusing on a twist that was guessed well ahead of time and only really benefiting a character that people were already starting to get a bit tired of. When the second half of the series arrived after a hiatus, the writing of the episodes themselves had begun to falter, as plot threads began to bomb faster than M. Night Shyamalan in a B-17. People started to worry. This wasn't helped by the fact that Moffat continued to do the same things for the next series to even lesser returns. The introduction of Capaldi's 12th Doctor was a bit of a shot in the arm for the series, but in general terms it was business as usual, building up to the reintroduction of an important character and only just managing to pull it off. Both Smith and Capaldi gave the role their best, and in Capaldi's case still is, but the writing is letting them down, similar to how Peter Davison was let down by Jonathan Nathan Turner and Eric Sayrad's writing. Colin Baker also counts to some extent, but may not have exactly been that great himself depending on who you ask. To me, Moffat is still a good writer, but after consideration I'm not sure he was the best pick to be showrunner, in the same way that I don't think Russell T Davies really should have written as many episodes as he did. When Moffat could craft 1 or 2 episodes a season, he was able to make them pristine works of art, and his problematic tendencies were kept in check by the fact that he had to answer to someone else. While his original series was great, he may have used up most of his best ideas doing so, and the success may have given him leeway to overreach himself. To sum up, I think it's time for Steven Moffatt to move on, the same way that RTD did when he began to falter. The series has always had a rotation production team, but with the series possibly starting to lose its viewing figures, it needs to happen soon. As for the subject of replacements, I'd personally love to see a writing duo, as it may work better than putting it all on the shoulders of one person. Perhaps a team of Paul Cornell and Mark Gatiss might do the trick. A veteran Who writer and a veteran showrunner working together to give the 12th Doctor the adventures that he needs to stand up there with the best. One can only hope. Let me know what you think in the comments below this video, and if you have any other suggestions for possible showrunners, please share them because I'd love to hear it. Thanks for watching. My name's Joseph and you've been listening to my thoughts on Steven Moffatt and whether it's time for him to move on. I'll speak to you soon.